Hey gang, greetings to you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are at this particular juncture, what time it is as you read or listen to this message. Welcome to Mzansi and USA News. You know, race hustlers never quit. That is why we patriots who seek to unite our country against heavily armed communists through division and identity politics, we must stand firm at all material times. Helen Zille made this statement. Of course, Helen is not a race hustler. The race hustler is the Floyd Shivambu, whose reply you see on the screen. Hebana, dogs. You see that? Let's listen to what he thinks he's replying to. This is a man that is degreed more than a thermometer, but yet he seems to completely misunderstand a simple idiom. But let's listen to hear if indeed Helen used an idiom. Let's get to the video. Let's listen to the video right from the beginning. There you go.
So we aren't, and I'll be quite honest, I mean, we could threaten to bring KwaZulu-Natal down if they don't agree to the document's terms in Gauteng, but we're not going to do that. We're not irresponsible people. We don't want to hand KwaZulu-Natal to MK and the EFF. It would be a total disaster for that province. So we're not about to do that. There are other levers that we're going to use. Obviously there are. But we're not going to say the people of KwaZulu-Natal can be thrown to the dogs. Not at all.
Okay, so you understand language. Rather, let me put it this way. Those of you who understand language will never reply the way you see Floyd Shivambu, a deputy president of EFF, saying there. But let's hear what other people have to say regarding this. Perhaps before that, let's check it for ourselves. What does it mean to be thrown to the dogs? Let's look at the Cambridge English Dictionary. We can look at any dictionary. I just chose Cambridge. You can choose any dictionary, okay? But I just chose Cambridge. That's the dictionary I prefer, okay? That's the one that White Monopoly Capital gave to me. I'm being facetious, but let's go and check what does it mean. Here is Cambridge Dictionary. It tells us to throw someone to the dogs is an idiom. That's the first thing. What does it mean? It means to allow someone to be criticized or attacked, often in order to protect yourself from being criticized or attacked. I'm a married man, right? If we're in a situation where I had witnessed something, but I know that the people that are raising the question have something in me and they are criticizing my spouse, and I throw her to the dogs, it would mean I would keep quiet and allow her to be criticized or attacked, even though I have the potential of getting her out of that scenario. Okay, very important. Why? Because I'm trying to protect myself from being criticized or attacked. That's just one simple example. There are many examples you can make yourself. I really felt as if this is an example. I've been thrown to the dogs just to save other people's reputations. Precisely in the example I gave you of myself and my spouse, I would be saving my own reputation. Are you following me? That's what it means to be thrown to the dogs. I'm not going to give you many more examples. Let's just go and read what other people's tweets say in this regard. So here are the tweet responses to Floyd Shivambu. Because he says, hey, Hebana dogs. Okay, someone, Kies, or however you pronounce that name, who's a Mamelodi Sundowns supporter, he says here, replying to Floyd Shivambu, they say you are educated and you have graduated multiple times, but this tweet disagrees with that. Okay, that means it seems as though things didn't go very well at school. Natasha Hackfeld, you don't understand an idiom, but you want to be finance minister for the country. Natasha is on top of things here. Hebana, and she uses the same language as he did. Kirutse, shame, your bruised ego making you guys sensitive. Liboma kalanjalo now. That means you cry like this always. Okay, for me, that sounds like an idiom, an ad hominem. Let's just move on to the next one. Dingiswayo kanyambos. But deputy, you just graduated in London. True, very true. You just graduated in London recently. How can you miss a figure of speech? Indeed, indeed. Makes you ask a lot of questions. We all, that with Zille, dogs are dogs, nothing idiom about it. If we take it as an idiom, then she is insulting the KZN voters. No, Joy Litabo, you need to, first and foremost, you need to be teachable. You have to understand that every language that exists on planet Earth was developed long before you were born. That's the first thing. The second thing, therefore, inherently, as that language was evolving, it had a lot of what? Idioms. In my mother tongue, they exist. There's plenty of them, right? If I were to speak my mother tongue right now, there's a lot of sarcasm that I can use that will fly past your head without knowing, just simply saying exactly what Helen was saying over there without insulting anybody. But the one who understands the language, because this is a linguistic issue. It's not about how you receive it. Sorry, I wasn't born yesterday, okay? Yes, it was at night when I was born, but it was not yesterday. Okay? So it makes absolutely no sense to think that this depends on whether its idiom depends on whether or not we receive it as an idiom. No, it doesn't work like that. There is an absolute north, there is an absolute south. It doesn't depend on how you receive it. If I say, now you want me to teach a fish to swim, it doesn't depend on how you receive it. If you don't understand it, if it went over your head, just simply ask, what do you mean by that? That's what communication is all about. Be teachable. Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People talks about seeking first to understand before seeking to be understood. Helen Zille was speaking English, not Afrikaans. She could have spoken Afrikaans and used different idioms because the language Afrikaans itself has got its own idioms. But she was simplifying this thing for all of us as South Africans, particularly those of you who know nothing about Afrikaans, and used an English idiom because you guys were sent to school. So please be teachable. You cannot come in my mother tongue, Xhosa, and say an idiom in Xhosa is not an idiom just because you feel insulted. It doesn't work like that. We don't work. Your emotions, as Ben Shapiro from America will say, facts don't care about emotions. What Helen Zille, I've just showed you from Cambridge Dictionary. It has nothing to do in that definition with how you receive it. Let me move on. I had to emphasize this because there are many black people who think like this. That's why education, good people, is important. And please be educated in the spirit of your mind. Transform your mind through knowledge. Otherwise, you're going to be lagging behind. One of the main reasons why Africa is lagging behind is its rotten leadership that is refusing to be educated. Now, Wellington, come on, it's a figure of speech. She didn't mean it literally. Don't twist a statement. Open your dictionary and look up expression thrown to the dogs. I just did, Wellington, to show it to my fellow countrymen because I know how much of simpletons we have around us. Because you see, the African National Congress ensured that we had simpletons by reducing the pass rate to 30%. There are people who should never have passed their matric, should have repeated it, who unfortunately found themselves having passed their matric. And you remember what they do now at school. They say, oh no, we have to create safe spaces and children are going to be offended and psychologically affected if we say they have failed. It doesn't work like that. If you have failed, you have failed. There are different superlative levels to IQ for a reason. Let's move on. And your ability to assimilate knowledge is manifest if you are going to say an idiom is not an idiom. Let's proceed. Floyd Shivambu, for me, is clearly demonstrating an IQ of a room temperature with all those degrees close to a thermometer. It's completely nonsensical. In his attempt to be divisive as usual, as it is the case, an inherent characteristic trait of those who are in the EFF. Then Decide Die says, calling EFF and MK dogs is an insult to dogs. And then he pulls up from the dictionary what I just showed you guys. To allow someone to be criticized or attacked, often in order to protect yourself from being criticized or attacked. I've just showed it to you. Now, this Joy Litabo is the same person as this one. So you now know most. Whatever she now says, I'm not going to read. Why? Because she doesn't make sense. She obviously has bought and drank the Kool-Aid of EFF. Okay? Many people who are EFF members are not race hustlers. They are deceived because EFF is like a cult. I didn't say it's a cult. I'm busy trying to explain what an idiom is, and now I'm talking about similes. How are they going to move from an idiom to a simile and have an understanding and assimilate what does that mean? My goodness. Okay, Lorenzo Diego. This one sounds like an American to me. And I love me some Americans, right? Black, white, Latinos, you name it. Because how they speak and how they roll. Listen to what Diego says here. So you all didn't learn idioms in school. No, we actually did. It's very embarrassing to have a deputy president not understanding an idiom. It makes us question a lot of things about the degrees he possesses, whether they were gifted to him or what exactly happened. There is someone, Sing Song, saying exactly what I said earlier on. With all these qualifications you brag of, you don't understand idioms? 30% pass rate has messed with most of you. Shameful. Shameful indeed. Shameful indeed. Shameful indeed. A bought and paid for degree, no study needed. This ex-comrade, you know what? I don't know if Floyd bought his degrees, but if he continues like this, he's doing a very good job to persuade some of us to believe the same. And sadly, in his small mind, he is trying to be divisive. And I can see that many South Africans can see through him. In fact, because Twitter is international, I see people like Lorenzo Diego asking some profound questions which are very embarrassing to me as a South African. Here is Mpo. My fellow South African is saying, quoting exactly what the dictionary is saying, replying to Floyd Shivambu. Floyd, be educated, please. It's very embarrassing what you are saying here. Okay? Very, very embarrassing. Now, Julius Malema is on record. This is a YouTube video, which I will not open because I have this clip myself. I will play the one that I have. Julius Malema is on record, insulting those who are in power in this country, calling them dogs. No idiom at all. Was this a metaphor? 32% said no. Well, those are the Floyd Shivambus. 68% said, of course it was a metaphor. Yes. Let's skip that video. And then, of course, you see the people who are dancing there. Look at what they are wearing. Can you see that? You don't expect any, how can I say, critical reasoning to be established when people are dressed like that and behaving like that. So obviously, we don't have to listen to them. Was this meant literally? 68% says no, meaning it was an idiom. And 32%, so it's the same pattern as it was asked. It's just that the same question asked differently. It's an expression, Floyd. Helen would never dare comparing EFF with dogs. She respects... You guys are funny. She respects these noble animals way too much for... Oh no, that's funny. Nevertheless, let's see where Juju called the powers that be dogs and close with that.
This country is in the hands of the dogs. And these dogs must be beaten until the owner comes out. Because these people are not the real owners of our country. We need to remove this guy. But Thabo Mbeki is not an alternative neither. Jacob Zuma is not an alternative neither. The EFF is the alternative to the problems confronting the people of South Africa.
This clip is by courtesy of Citizens Concerned. Thank you, Katlego. Now, my parting shot to you guys would be this, what Sensible is saying. You know exactly what figure of speech is, I think, but you are petty, sis. Now, this is going to be my parting shot to South Africans, to say, fellow South Africans, be always careful. I don't doubt, just like Sensible, for a doubt that Floyd Shivambu is fully aware that this was a figure of speech. I was taught when I was very young that I should never confuse malevolence for stupidity. These youngsters are not stupid. You see, when you understand what Yuri Bezmenov, a former KGB spy, speaks of when he talks about subverting a country from within, and his videos are available online, when you understand fully what he's talking about, you will see it takes extreme programming and malevolence, not stupidity, no, to believe the things Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu believes. You get the point? It takes extreme programming and malevolence, not stupidity. So I'm quite convinced that Floyd is deliberately trying to stoke division in our country. I did a video here saying why Jacob Zuma is dangerous to our democracy. That video is not exclusive to Jacob Zuma. It is also to all these communist wannabes. With that, I'm going to close the video and love you and leave you. Please comment down below. Tell me what you think. Was Helen being insultive to anybody, or was she simply using the Queen's language appropriately, as I believe that she was? Leave your comments down below. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. Till the next video.